Norman Finkelstein destroys crying liberal Zionists. This is from Jackson Hinkle. By the way, he doesn't need my help. Jackson Hinkle's got over 2 million subscribers or whatever, followers on Twitter now, eh? They kicked him off of YouTube. Kicked him off. He was so bad.
Yeah.
You know who doesn't get kicked off? NBC for lying about everything.
People who commit crimes.
People who commit crimes.
Yeah.
Torturers.
Like real crimes.
Torturers have their own YouTube channels.
Some crazy girl just doxed a guy over a rivalry, like some game streamer, and makes a lot of money for YouTube. So they're not gonna handle,
Oh, really?
It's real playing favorites based on what money comes in. The ecosystem.
Yeah.
Don't harm the ecosystem.
So I think we've showed this video before, but I want to show this video now. Watch this. This is Norman Finkelstein shutting down a crying idiot who's standing up for Israel in their occupation of Palestine.
Go ahead.
Hi. During your speech, you made a lot of references to Jewish people as well as certain people in your audience, not Jewish people in general, but certain people, especially in your audience, to Nazis. Now, that is extremely offensive when certain people are German. And they're also extremely offensive to people who've actually suffered under Nazi rule.
I don't respect that anymore. I really don't. I don't like and I don't respect the crocodile tears the crocodile tears. No.
No ceasefire.
Folks, allow me to finish and allow me to finish. Listen, sir. Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Sir. I don't like to play before an audience the Holocaust card. But since now I feel compelled to. My late father was in Auschwitz. My late mother, please shut up. My late father was in Auschwitz. My late mother was in Majdanek concentration camp. Every single member of my family on my father's side,
the Jews did not take arms against the
my
Germans.
late father was in Auschwitz concentration camp. My late mother was in Majdanek concentration camp. Every single member of my family on both sides was exterminated. Both of my parents were in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And it's precisely and exactly because of the lessons my parents taught me and my two siblings that I will not be silent when Israel commits its crimes against the Palestinians. And I consider nothing more despicable than to use their suffering and their martyrdom to try to justify the torture, the brutalization, the demolition of homes that Israel daily commits against the Palestinians. So I refuse any longer to be intimidated or browbeaten by the tears. If you had any heart in you, you would be crying for the Palestinians, not for what's being done.
Oh, wow.
Show her stupid face again. Look at, oh my God. Somebody owned me. I cried. That always works when I cry.
Oh my
it
God.
always works when I cry because I'm a little baby girl. And when I cry, it always works. Except this guy said, fuck you. And he doesn't care about my stupid crocodile tears. And now I don't know what to do because I don't have an argument.
What are you going to do? His whole family
killed in the Holocaust.
I mean, what are you going to say to that, sweetie? Nothing?
Nothing.
Little boo-hoos.
She's going to do that. She's going to go, oh my God. I didn't have a comeback for that. That's
just
what she's
blew my
gonna do.
effing mind.
That Norman Finkelstein, he's a great guy.
I never believed any of this stuff
right.
until him.
What's that?
I didn't want to know anything about it. Didn't want to be involved. Didn't seem like a pressing issue to me. Till that happened, we had him on, and he explained. I didn't know the situation this entire time until Norman Finkelstein. Do you understand? I didn't know. I thought it was like a border wall. I thought it was like, well, Hillary, we threw him the keys and said, hey, Gaza's yours. And I didn't look that much into it because, we had our own terrorist problems.
Yeah.
I knew we were supposed to be more like Israel, though, and it worked out great for us. I knew after the first 9/11, because I can relate to people upset about October 7th, I was in New York in 9/11. And I remember being all for going, not to Afghanistan, to Iraq. I'm like, yeah, get them all. They're all kind of in on it.
Yeah.
I was all for that. A gallon of blood for a drop of our blood. Sounds good to me. So it's just now that I have hindsight, I'm not empathetic. I just can't believe people from here would be like, let's be as stupid as we were 20 years ago again. Let's do that again. But even more stupid, because this is like 15 9/11s. People said that. This is 15 9/11s worth of bad. October 7th.
Jeez. So, when did you get skeptical of Building 7? When did that happen?
I never even thought about building.
Until this show?
I always took it to mean that was like part of the Two Towers or something. What do I care? They probably fell on it.
Okay.
So that wasn't clear. The whole time people talk about Building 7, I'm like, I don't know, there's a whole destruction. And like the Two Towers are the main thing. And a lot of the conspiracies were saying the planes were holograms. There was nobody on the planes. So all that got muddied. The very idea of bringing up Building 7.
I think the planes were real. I think the planes went into.
I know they were real. I saw them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. That was put out on purpose.
Yeah.
The crazy
But
stuff
those
was
buildings
put out.
were built to withstand a plane flying into
the
them.
World Trade Center?
Yeah. Did you know that?
I mean, I'm sure on paper they were built to do it, but a lot of stuff ain't built up to the spec it was supposed to be. Let's face it.
They were so lucky it fell into its own footprint. Both of all three buildings.
Well, the 7.
What a woof! Talk about they should have went out and played the lottery that day.
The Building 7 one, I didn't even think about that as a separate building or care about it. You understand? Because we don't need to worry about that. We got to go get these people that attacked us. The two, but all in New York City.
I talked about it on my Comedy and Everything Else podcast back in like 2007 or whenever we started that show.
Well, that was not the time.
I was like, how come no one ever talks about this Building 7? It didn't even get hit by a plane.
Didn't think about it. I just thought about the Twin Towers, and all the craziness about the Twin Towers is enough to make you not. Is this going to be something about holograms, Jimmy? Here, you say something about Building 7, I'll go, what, a hologram did it? That's how the trick, that works for quite some time on me. I'm not so smart I see through it. It's just that they're so bad at it now, I see through it. I don't know if like the kids took over the fake, the propaganda from their parents and they suck, like the Chelsea Clintons have taken over.
Yeah.
And they just suck at it, but I don't fall for it now.
We're actually bringing on the guy from the University of, was it Fairbanks? So he was like the head engineer professor guy at the, or one of those, right? Yeah, so he's the professor of engineering. He's the teacher guy over at the University of Fairbanks. And he did a report that said there's no way that he said that Building 7 was brought down intentionally. That's what he said.
If I try to explain that to anybody that I know from New York, they don't care about Building 7. They don't think of it as a separate entity from the Twin Towers. And
that story actually got reported on a local ABC news station in Alaska.
Oh, that happens all the time in Alaska. Yeah. And then it gets taken away. Yeah.
But it didn't make it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But we actually had covered that.
There's quite a few crazy stories that have been reported in Alaska and then
removed.
Really crazy. Where you're like, that can't be a thing that was on the news.
And so we're bringing that guy on the show.
Oh, no kidding.
We're bringing that guy on the show. When's he coming on the show? December 8th, maybe we're going to have that guy on.
It's just amazing.
I wonder let's see what YouTube does. I'm really pushing him.
I think this thing, I still believe Netanyahu didn't know, but I'm sure a bunch of people knew what was going to happen.
Oh, come on. Of course.
I don't believe Netanyahu's
You know what they said about Pearl Harbor, too, that they ignored all the warnings.
FDR is not in the inner...
And
FDR might have been in on it, but...
George Bush ignored his own CIA briefing.
He's in the outer circle. He's not in the inner circle.
George Bush?
All your presidents are not in the inner circle, obviously, of who's planning the thing.
Dick Cheney was in that inner circle.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Dick Cheney, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because George wasn't supposed to win. It was Jeb's turn.
I don't think George was part of... and
that's why he drank so much.
So that's why they get rid of George Bush the first, because he actually said to Israel, hey, you better stop doing this shit because you're making us less safe.
Nobody ever did it again.
And they were like, yeah, we're going to put Bill Clinton in office. And they exactly did.
Bill Clinton was trying to prove... So when he did... I just watched randomly, we bring up Chris Hitchens talking about it, Now I don't know if this is when he was for the Iraq War. I think it was during when he was for it. But he goes, George H.W. Bush actually said that thing with the loans, if you don't cut the settlement nonsense out. And then the Clintons used it because they were, they executed that guy, that mentally ill guy, challenged guy.
Yes.
The Clintons were showing how they can be right wing.
Yeah, that was their whole gig, was to show how right wing they could be. That was his,
Right.
he had his sister soldier moment. Remember that?
Yes.
That was when Bill Clinton really stuck it to the left.
Yeah.
And showed up, look, I'm a right. And then he went on to give us 100,000 more cops while he gutted welfare. At the same time, he exploded the prison population, consolidated the media from 50 companies to 6. And he also deregulated the Wall Street, which then led to the collapse of our economy within 10 years.
Right.
But it did put a lot of money into the pockets.
That's the deal. So you can, all these people, they like it if you have a disagreement. And maybe you're passionate about it. That works even better for us.
Yes.
Because
it's like that book you're reading about how Woodrow Wilson actually thought he was doing the right thing, which was actually good for him.
He was so arrogant and so like, when Washington said beware of foreign entanglements.
Yeah.
His mentality about it, unbelievably, was, well, all my fellow man are not foreign to me. So, of course, America should make the world safe for democracy. And he had some guy, I can't remember his name, something House, but that's his. So at the end, I text you the photo. At the end, Woodrow Wilson, it dawned on him, just like the Eisenhower speech.
Yes.
I feel there's a dark force that like, oh, you don't say. It's not the Illuminati. It's all the Council on Foreign Relations, all these like the Liberty, whatever you went to, the Freedom Forum and all that. That the oligarchs, the names don't matter. You could switch them around at any time. The important thing is your Rockefellers and your big name families and your old money families. They control everything forever. And they hate you having national borders. It's all one. It's all for control. You can watch them doing it now.
Right. And so how I've always joked on the show that I'm no better than these people. I'll sell out. Nobody's made an offer. Well, they have actually come for me. They haven't made me an offer, but they've come to co-opt me. And I'll tell that story someday soon. It's happening right now. We're in the middle of it. And they got into my cell phone. They hacked my computer. I was on a plane, and they all of a sudden it said, "Hey, this account is now in control of your iCloud account." And I was like, "What? That's a 2-factor authentication? On a plane that happened?"
Gotta be pretty high up to hack a phone.
I couldn't even stop it from happening. So I get off the plane. I call so I have a guy who's my IT security guy. He used to be hired by governments to try to hack into their systems to find their vulnerabilities. And he told me that, so when I told him that, he goes, "Holy shit, Jimmy." He goes, "I couldn't even do that because of iCloud has that two-step authentication." And he goes, that costs a lot of money and that takes a lot of resources to be able to do something like that. He said, "So this has got to be a state actor that's doing that to you." And I said, "Really?" I go, "I guess I shouldn't have given that speech at the UN." And he laughed. And I go, "No, I actually gave a speech at the UN." And he goes, "Oh my God, yeah, that's."
I wondered how that speech happened. I was like, "This is not going to end well." And
so they did that, and then they're coming for me in a totally different way. That's the stick and the carrot. They're doing the carrot, and you beware of people. I get a sense that when people are trying to sell me a car.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It's like, and I got that sense immediately, like, you're trying to sell me a car. And what the fuck is this about? How is this going on? And they tell you they love you and your show and everybody. I was like, you motherfucker. I'm just like, so I guess growing up on the south side of Chicago, that somehow got stuck in me. And I can pick that up pretty quickly. And so that's happening right now. And I'll tell that story.
Oh, I got Jehovah's Witness stuck in me when I could tell I'm getting sold a Amway Jesus.
Yeah, okay.
It really comes out when I hear, like, especially people repeating the same buzz, because we had all these like Scientology
They
words.
use the same fucking words. They use the same tactics. They use the same. It's like they all work from the same. And I see it now. I see it. So anyway, I'll tell that story. But I'm it's like I'm pretty sure I got invited to whatever club Kyle Kalinski's going to.
Yeah.
Whatever club makes you dye your hair blonde.
Oh my God.
I think I got invited.
I told you have to dye it all. You're gonna have to go all the way to blue for the things you've said.
That's right.
You think blonde's gonna cut it? You're going straight to blue hair, pal.
They're such garbage people. Hey, come see us doing a live stand-up show. We'll be in Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California. Then we're going to Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, and Boston, Massachusetts. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.